Okay, now we switch to English, isn't it? Because that's the first and only session in English, which is the commercial space age opportunities and challenges. We're going to cover a few topics from space exploration, private and public companies, issues and challenges between them. Historically, governments were the ones who invested in space race, of course. But now, of course, it is changing. So what should be their role? Especially as we have the newcomers, which is Elon Musk's SpaceX, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, and Jinping's China. So with me, we have two speakers. It's Kinga Gruszecka, Acting Director of Education, Polish Space Agency. And virtually welcome, it's Bernard Foink, space astrophysicist at European Space Agency and the Executive Director of International Lunar Exploration Working Group. Welcome.
Hello. Hello from Dubai Space Congress.
Hello. Thank you. Apologies for the short delay. So I would like to start with a very provocative question. So back in 1968, Kubrick predicted that in 2001, the human race would embark on a space odyssey to Jupiter. Sadly, now we are in 2021, and the furthest we went is the moon. So here I would like to ask what went wrong? Where is our pioneering spirit? Where is our zeal for exploration? Have we basically failed our expectations? Kinga, if you could answer this question.
Thank you. Well, you're not going easy on me with that question. I don't think we failed. I think we just spent more time to use space resources, space assets, to understand what's going on the Earth, to understand the processes, the climate change, to understand how we can help our Earth to be, well, in a better shape, or how we can less harm it. So I think we still are thrilled to explore. We still are pioneers. European Space Agency says once explorers, always explorers. So it's in our DNA. But we need to change the priorities. The idea of the Odyssey was back in the Cold War, where we didn't consider much about sustainable space. Now I believe we are smarter and we are trying to well, use the money basically and all the resources in a better way.
Thank you for this response. And Professor, do you agree with this approach?
I think that we could still improve our pioneering spirit, but I agree that we have used space to address the needs of Earth. In particular, we have developed space for Earth. Now we have to address sustainable development goals. But in parallel, I have to say that we have, for instance, invested in other programs like the International Space Station, which was a great peace platform. And also in the space community, we have explored the solar system using robots. Myself, I sent my baby to the moon, but it was a baby robot. We sent it in 2003. We sent some probe to Mars that made huge discoveries. Also, we have probes in the outer solar system. And those probes, they contribute also to better understanding our place in the universe, to inspire the kids to study, to look at the cosmos, because we come from the cosmos. So we have also to incorporate the cosmos in our vision of what will be our future on Earth and beyond. And now we are going to prepare in a more sustainable way, putting a village on the moon that will be of benefit of everybody, and then engaging our all humanities in the benefit of space.
Thank you. So let's move to the very commercial aspect of space exploration. So if you could, Kinga, please quickly map out what the commercial space sector involves and how big it is and how fast it grows.
Well, firstly, it grows super fast. Like you can check, for example, SPI publish every year the report, how fast it's growing. You can check that online, and you will see that it's like double or triple times from 90s or the beginning of 2000s. And when you ask me to map, I basically don't know where to start, because first of all, we talk about transportation. We talk about commercial transport to, for example, ISS, but also launchers that enable satellites to be on orbit. So these services are mostly commercial, maybe not mostly, but now it's growing. And it's funny that the education was mentioned, because whenever I go to school and I ask, okay, have you heard about space? Yes, I want to build a rocket. So it's first association. But then we have also the satellites, and SpaceX was mentioned as an introductory to this panel. So we have not only Earth observation satellites, not only communication satellites, but all the constellation. And of course, so we are talking more and more about commercial moon landers or Mars exploration. So all of that is growing, and I basically think that more agencies will look at the commercial space, because we have to remember that that's not only private money. Even if commercial, that's not only private money. Often the national agencies, international agencies support this project with grants or basically with public procurement.
You basically mentioned the topic I would like to now inquire about. So basically in the past, during the Cold War, national space agencies were the key driver for space exploration. Now these rapidly growing private entities transform the picture of the space exploration process. So basically I want to ask, Professor, what's your opinion on what's the role now of governmental agencies such as NASA or Roscosmos, and can they really be replaced by private entities?
So space agencies have been a key to develop the first effort for the scientific exploration of Earth, of the solar system, and the cosmos. And from this, they have been also a key to drive, to teach the community, also to teach the industry to develop at the edge of technical challenge what are the solutions that were then applied for application satellite. But it's true, the budget at the moment of this space agency, you could say, is only in the range of 30–40 billion euro per year. And this is less than 10% of what is the commercial budget of all the other satellites. But it's a key element to drive progress, to drive innovation that will be used future in the commercial space sector that could reach 1 trillion euro by 10 years time scale. Now, in parallel, now you have got some other commercial space exploration sector which has completely revolutionized the way we do business. We in the area of launches. So, for instance, the agencies have developed their own rocket, also for the sake of independence. But now you see, for instance, Elon Musk rocket, which are very competitive in lowering the cost of access to space. This is changing, and this is helping us actually. Now, these companies as well are looking at the next stage of economy, which will be lunar economy, and we'll have more assets that we'll put on the moon. This is very much helped at the moment by government, and I think it's very important that government keep always a stake into this so that they can have a right to help in the rules of the road, helps in involving more partners from many different sides in what we call the Moon Village, so a set of initiatives that will benefit everybody on Earth, not only to make money, but also to develop science, to develop technology, to develop new business services. Also will increase a lot. Like in the Earth observation sector, there will be even 10 times more money and jobs just from analyzing the data from Earth observation. And in the case of exploration also, we will expect that we'll have more jobs to accompany what we put on the surface of the moon and other solar system target. So clearly the private companies, but also a lot of new space actors and as well a lot of non-space terrestrial actors will have a very big role in the future of space exploration.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning lunar exploration. Because saying that the United States won the space race in the Cold War is a bit of an overstatement, if not a mistake. However, we clearly see now the United States as the key driver in space exploration, both in terms of the governmental agencies such as NASA and private entities, which we've already mentioned. But many more countries are now very much investing into space exploration. For instance, China has recently launched its own space station. And the US responded with, the previous US administration responded with more focus on space exploration. For instance, the former Vice President Mike Pence announced that NASA will aim to bring back humans to the moon by 2024. So I would like to ask if we can, in the next decades, if we can witness a new space race, and if yes, what will be the role of private entities in that process? So Kinga, if you could take this question.
Thank you, but before I will, I want to just refer to the previous question and answer. Very important point that national agencies, international agencies, because we have to remember that European Space Agency is intergovernmental organization, so Poland signed to this. They train, they show what it means to keep the quality. They show what it means to how important are tests or how important is sustainability. And training in particular of Polish space sector is extremely important. For years during Polish Industry Incentive Scheme, we had support and advice from ESA. We also had people who went to work for ESA and then come back to Poland to work in Polish entities. And that enabled us to go further in our Polish space sector. So that's super important. Coming back to your question and to today's discussion, there are some activities that I cannot imagine to be commercialized, like, for example, removal of space debris. Yes, some companies want to do business on that. They want to develop the technology, either when it comes to servicing the satellite or moving it to the graveyard orbit. But then it has to be a priority for our policymakers, for our nation or international agencies to make it. I think the priority, the support and engagement of private sector will grow because people want to make money. And we talk about, for example, space exploration and space mining for some years already. So we want to know what we can have out of this. And I observe that more and more VC are interested in the space sector. More companies are willing to put a great budget on R&D to explore space, to go to the moon. More companies like Audi, for example, are supporting space companies. So we see all that movement and all the interest. Sometimes it's CSR, sometimes it's just because people are interested and want to push forward. But nevertheless, more money is on the market, and we can use it to explore and to be where in more places, not only on the moon when it comes to human footprint.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So maybe now I will ask a more philosophical question. So to what extent is space exploration now about science, and to what extent is a new industry that will generate trillions of dollars in the next decades? So, Professor.
Yeah, so back to international relations, yes, we had a space race, but then we had a period with a beautiful collaboration between previous enemies. This was the build-up of the International Space Station, and there Russia was a critical, positive actor and necessary to maintain the space station. Now we have again, a space race between the different countries, but it's good to have a competition and also collaboration in some areas. I would say it's like the spirit of the Olympic Games. Each country has to do the best of what they can do, and then they give us a super show. But it's true that China is coming. China has put a program, for instance, of a lunar mission, and I have been collaborating with them. Actually, with ESA has contributed to some of this endeavor. And now they have sent 8 missions to the moon, landers, and a sample return. And so they are very important actors. Now the moon is a great continent, the size of Africa. So there is room for everybody, but we need to ensure that we do it in a constructive way, and also that we can address some of the pillar of exploration. And then I come to your question, is it about science? I'm a scientist, but I say no, it's a scientist is part of it, maybe 10-20% of, because we are going to make discoveries. You need also the scientists because they make the maps, they tell you what is the environment, so they can guide the engineers in the designing the landers and the habitat that will be there. So scientists, they have to serve and not only benefit from it, but then you need also to include the entrepreneurs that can, for instance, develop some activities of using the resources. But I would say the main resources of exploration, it is to harvest the minds of people on Earth, to inspire also young people from all over the world, and give them data they can analyze, give them also a perspective that they should innovate, they should study technical topics, also social topics, and also they have to work together. So they have to develop a spirit where they have an international collaboration. They are part of a global village on Earth, and this can also help to have a more peaceful relation between all the countries for the new generation.
Thank you. Would you like to add something?
Yes. Well, personally, I believe that it's not about science, it's not about money, it's about people. It's about our ambition. It's about our dreams. And frankly, I really believe that it's not important why we do so, but we push forward. We are trying. We ask questions with scientists, with engineers, all those diverse teams cooperating. And very important, cooperation between enemies, between states that used to have no common ground. I really believe, because space, like no other sector, like no other technology, brings people together. I never met anyone who would tell me like, oh, I don't like observing the moon, or I don't like space. People are interested, and that's easy to inspire people to do great things with space sector and to collaborate. And collaboration means better understanding. And my personal dream is that we talk more about peace, about diversity, about like bringing people together through the space.
Thank you. Thank you for this. And very final question. Very final question, 30 seconds for each of you. So, Professor, what tools can the European Union and the EU member states implement to facilitate the development of the commercial space sector in Europe?
Yeah, tools is to also give material for educating the next generation of scientists, engineers, but also entrepreneurs, involve the space industries and also the terrestrial non-space sectors, and play a role in also helping to define some regulation, some rule of the road, so that we work in harmony when we are going to establish the next step that will be the moon village, where we'll have humanity both on Earth and on the moon, but for the benefit of Earth.
And how about Poland?
Like what we can do?
Yes, what we can do to foster our companies and startups which operate in this industry.
Oh gosh, I don't know where to start. But because I'm head of educational department, I would say educate. Educate entrepreneurs, educate public administration, how they can benefit from space data, and educate public, general public, because only through the education we can bring people to understanding why it's important to invest in space, why ESA needs another mission, why we need money for this mission, because that's the important point. Like, we, as a member of European Space Agency, our space minister and delegation makes decision how much we commit to space exploration. So we need understanding, and we need people, professionals, who are bringing different backgrounds to the space.
Thank you so much for this answer. And with this response, we are finishing this panel. Thank you so much, Professor, for connecting with us from Dubai. I hope you'll have a great conference. And
we have finished the conference. It was amazing. And okay, we will bring all new adventures and initiatives back to Europe.
Thank you so much. And Kinga, thank you so much for joining us in person here in Warsaw. Thank you.
Thank you a lot.